That was a very hard thumbnail to take a picture of, and I'm not even happy with the result, so I might have to retake it. Fucking A, you can see my books. Hi friends, welcome back to my channel, and for today's video, I'm going to talk about what I read in the month of January. So in the month of January, I was successful. I read 8 books, keeps me on track with my Goodreads goal, which is super awesome for me. It feels really great to start off the year strong, and being on track with my Goodreads goal just makes me feel so good. So the very first book I read is Salt and Sugar by Carvalho, and this is actually a cute little YA rom-com. It's about 2 bakeries that are right across from each other that are basically enemies. Their families do not get along. They have a long history of family feuds. It's generational feuds, enemies to lovers. They can't stand each other. They're always competing against each other, and it does take place in Brazil. I ended up giving this book a 3 out of 5 because it wasn't bad, it was good. I enjoyed it. I didn't hate it, but that was all. I really did appreciate though all the descriptions of the food that they made in here, the Brazilian pastries that they incorporated in this book. I love the representation here. I love the authenticity and the traditions that each family have. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really fun. My favorite part obviously was just the descriptions of food. I never knew I would love reading about food so much until I read this book. It was a tease because a lot of the times I really did want to just eat whatever they were making. The love was cute, but my favorite part of the book was the descriptions on the food. It was fun to read. Next book I read is The Last Party by Clare Mackintosh. I loved this book so much. It did start off slow for me, but after getting into 50 pages, it was gold. I just enjoyed it. It was intriguing. There was so much drama involved, so many characters. It says, it's the party to end all parties, but not everyone is here to celebrate. At midnight, one of them is dead. By morning, all of them are suspects. On New Year's Eve, Rice Lloyd has a house full of guests. His vacation homes on Mirror Lake are a success, and he's generously invited to the village to drink champagne with their wealthy new neighbors. But by midnight, Rice will be floating dead in the freezing waters of the lake. On New Year's Day, Vivian Morgan has a village full of suspects. The tiny community is her home, so the suspects are her neighbors, friends, and family, and Vivian has her own secrets to protect. With a lie uncovered at every turn, soon the question isn't who wanted Rise dead, but who finally killed him. In a village with this many secrets, murder is just the beginning. This was so freaking good. It was so intriguing to me. I did not find it boring. I could see how some people would find it like really slow, but I enjoyed every aspect of it. So Rice Lloyd is the owner of these 5 beautiful cabin cottages that are literally sitting on top of the water overlooking the lake. And there's a few different characters with different personalities living in each one of these cabins with different stories, how some of them even were able to afford cabins like this. So Rice Lloyd is basically not known to be a lovable character amongst these other characters. He is not well liked. He is very wealthy, but almost every single person that rents from him or has bought a cabin from him don't really like him. So it's not surprising that he ends up dead, but who did it? We don't know. And this book was so intriguing. It kept me on my toes. I am not one to try to guess what's happening in the story. I just go with it and allow the book to manipulate me, which I feel like from my experience, it's so much better for me because I end up getting surprised anyways. You get almost everybody that lives in the cabin and the detective's point of view in this story. You get flashbacks of the day of when the body is discovered on the lake, and then it goes back a couple days and then it goes forward. Like this book, I enjoyed it so much. It was so intriguing. I did not mind reading it. It was kind of a longer book, 403 pages, and to me it flew by quickly. I absolutely loved this book so much. I gave it a 5-star. It just kept me interested. It kept me glued. The way the characters speak in this book, they're Welsh and British, and some of the words were hard for me to understand. Some of their slang was hard for me to understand, but nonetheless, I was still enjoying the ride that this book gave me. I absolutely loved it. I will not stop talking about it. I will be reading more from this author. The book steers you a certain way where you think you know what's happening, where you think you know who's the murderer, who's the killer, but then it completely towards the end does a huge, to me, it was a huge plot twist, and I was like, never saw it coming. And that's what I love about thrillers. You never see it coming and it hits you in the face and you're like, whoa, what? And then you start kind of like replaying the whole story in the back of your mind, thinking, how did I not see that coming? Maybe trying to look for clues as to like, how did I miss that? But anyways, I love this book so much. It was so fun to read. It was so intriguing. Some of the chapters were intense. There's a lot of drama too between the characters. A lot of like hidden secrets were revealed. A lot of shadiness amongst the characters doing shady things that you were like, oh my gosh, this person must be the killer. I will not stop ranting about this book. I loved it so much. It is a slow start to the book, but I will recommend it to anybody and everybody because I think that like it was just, to me, it was so good. I really enjoyed it. I loved everything about it. 5 stars. 5 stars. Next book I read is Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney. I've been wanting to read this book for quite some time and I've seen it around here and there. A lot of people recommended it. A lot of people gave it 5 stars. I'm one of those people. I did give this book 5 stars. I also did tab it a lot and I just love the kind of thriller that this is. So Amelia and Adam have been married for quite a while and they have a rocky marriage right now. Their marriage is not going well at all. And Amelia wins a raffle at her job that allows her to basically win a free weekend trip in an old Scottish cottage, basically in the middle of nowhere. However, this cottage is very interesting because it's actually a renovated or semi-renovated old chapel and it has been there for years and years and years. I love reading about rocky marriages, even though obviously I'm not one to relate to that, but I love reading about rocky marriages and how everything's going downhill. But what's most interesting about this story is that you get Amelia and Adam's point of view, the 2 main characters. You also get a flashback of how they were in the beginning of their marriage and how they are now. This book just keeps you on your toes every single time. You get multiple points of views. You get to learn about them as a couple, how they started, where they're at now, how they feel about each other now. And it's just so juicy. The drama in this is so juicy. You get to see how unreliable each character is amongst each other, what they think about each other secretly, how they do not trust each other, even though in a marriage you should be trusting your spouse. And this story follows them in this chapel. A lot of creepy things start happening and things just start to unravel. I was here for it. I love reading about turmoil marriages. I love it. I don't relate, but I love it so much. Give it 5 stars. I'm not going to say more about this book because I don't want to give anything away, but definitely enjoyed it. 5 stars for me. Can't wait to read other stories from Alice Feeney. Can't wait. The next book I read is The Lost Ticket by Freya Sampson. This is totally a book that is kind of like one that I would normally not pick up, but because it was one of the Once Upon a Book Club's book picks for that month, I obviously purchased it and I don't regret it. I gave this book a 4 star. It's considered a fictional contemporary romance, but I believe this book was more of a fiction novel than the romance. The romance is kind of just sprinkled in there, here and there, bits and pieces. It's also historical fiction. It does take place in the past and the present. This is about an elderly man named Frank who happens to ride the bus every day. The reason why he rides this specific bus and this route every single day is because 60 years ago, he literally met the love of his life during one conversation in that same bus. They locked eyes, they started talking, and then they agreed that they were going to go on a date to a museum. And he was just so captivated by this woman that he met on this bus that he just was so excited about this date. So she wrote her number down on his bus ticket. However, when he went to go give her a call, he realized he lost his bus ticket. And so every year for 60 years, this man rides the bus every day in hopes that he finds her. And this book was emotional for me. I cried quite a bit. There were some emotional parts in there and totally didn't expect the way it ended. It was a good ending, but I just wasn't expecting how things turned out for certain characters. Also in the book, one day as he's going on his regular route, he meets a character named Libby who is, I believe she's in her 30s and she just happens to be on the bus that day. She's intrigued by this man. They meet, they start talking, and then he tells her her story. So she decides to try to find the love of his life for him and help him out because she was so intrigued by his story that she just wants nothing to do but help him. And this also is about community and friendship and how people gather together for this one man who is known to be such a caring individual and has done and touched people's hearts in so many different ways. I don't necessarily want to say that it's just a contemporary romance. It does have romance aspects in it, but I feel like the main purpose of this book is just to teach you about community, friendship, love, how people gather together to help this one man because he was such a great person in each and every one of their lives. I did enjoy it. This book was a 4-star for me. It did make me cry in several parts. I was touched. I was sad, I was happy, sad, happy tears, sad tears, all the things this book made me feel. So 4 stars for me. Next up, I finally read Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. This is my first Lynn Painter book. I do own another one from her, and I absolutely loved this book so much. I gave this book 5 star. It's a cute little high school rom-com. It was so cute, heartfelt, heartwarming. I enjoyed it. This book is about Liz, who happens to be a hopeless romantic, and she's always loved romance and romance movies. And she has a next door neighbor that she grew up with. His name is Wes, and they're kind of enemies because they always fight over this parking spot that the neighborhood shares. So they've always kind of hated each other, and they've always bickered. And one day, one of her childhood friends comes back into town, and she decides that this is the guy that she needs to pursue. She makes a bargain with Wes and tells him, if you help me win my childhood crush over, then you can keep the parking spot forever. And so Wes was jumping on that because they always fight over that spot. And this was a way for him to finally have that spot. Obviously, we know what happens. It is their romance, and it's so cute. I really loved Wes in this story. He was everything. The cute little gestures and the discreet little things that he would do for her were just heartwarming. I loved it. It kept me smiling. Also, what I really loved about it is that every chapter has a famous quote from a famous rom-com movie, which I also am kind of like a movie buff, especially rom-coms. It just amplified my reading experience that much more. I love this story so much. It was so cute. I was hesitant at first because it is YA, and some YA is just okay for me. This one did not disappoint. This was a 5 star all the way. Lynn Painter, my favorite book from Lynn Painter. My first one, but my favorite book so far from Lynn Painter, and I absolutely love it. I will be reading her other books too. Next up is Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. This book was everything, you guys. It was so beautiful. Your grumpy sunshine at its best. I'm talking, the guy is so freaking grumpy. It is insane, but I absolutely enjoyed it. At first I was annoyed. I'm like, is this how this guy's gonna be the entire book? It grew on me. I do love a good grumpy sunshine, so this did not disappoint. So this story follows Naomi, who had run away from her wedding, left her fiance at the altar because she had a phone call from her twin sister who needed her help. Now, her twin sister has a history of being a criminal. She's not a good person. She's, been involved with some crimes, some deceitful things. And Naomi is more of the good twin who does anything and everything she can to be there for her and her parents, despite her sister being the way she is. So she's almost like the good twin that tries to clean up after her sister's messes. And it's no different than right now. Her sister gives her a call. She drives to a different state to meet up with her sister. Come to find, when she's there, she finds out her sister basically has left her with an 11-year-old niece that she never knew about, with no card, no purse, no money, nothing. She's basically left stranded in this small town of Knockamount, Virginia. And in comes Knox with his grumpy self, thinking that she's her bad twin sister, giving her the crappiest first impression ever, trying to get her out of the cafe because she's not welcome there. So then she has to explain to him, I'm not my twin sister, I'm here to help her. She says she's in trouble, this is why I'm here. And he tries to help her after they find out that she has been left stranded, moneyless, and now is supposed to be a guardian. So it's their love, and it is a slow burn, but it's so good. He is so stubborn, and so is she, and I just enjoyed every little bit of this. This book was pretty long, but it did not feel long to me. I was intrigued the entire time. I was captivated by the story, the community, the small town aspect. I just love everything about a small town romance. And not only that, it is a grumpy sunshine. Like, this book gave more than I thought it would. I did hear really great things about it, and there's also another book that I'm planning on reading by Lucy Score, so I can't wait. But the way that she writes is just amazing. It's phenomenal. It is captivating. It's easy to read. Everything flows perfectly. Even if her books are hefty big, her writing is so good that it did not feel like it was 500 plus pages. It was amazing. I loved everything about it. I was rooting for the characters. I was rooting for the romance. I believed it. Each character had their own struggles they were going through. There was also some drama sprinkled in there. Like, it wasn't just about the romance. It was about the drama in the community. Something happens that was totally unexpected. And so I just really loved this story. I'm so glad I read it. I'm so glad I pushed myself to read it. I was afraid at first because it is a longer story, but I don't regret reading it. I actually only regret not reading it sooner because the experience that this book gave me, this romance, I was there for it. I was all in. I was invested. I love this book. 5 stars. Next up, I read Nana by Brandon Massey. Okay, this book I'm actually doing a reading blog on this and 2 more books that I'm going to include in there, but this book, tabbed it. It's a horror book, and it was a horror book, unexpected for me, definitely out of my comfort zone, but it gave me like the Orphan vibes. If you heard of that movie, The Orphan, that movie to me was so creepy, but it's so good. I do love my horror movies. I do love reading horror stories. I just wasn't expecting this one to be as good as it was. It gave what it needed to give in a horror. I gave this one a 4, but now I'm thinking I should give it a 4.5. And the reason why I'm not going to give it a 5 is because I didn't like how the ending just wrapped up so quickly. I wanted more from the ending. I wanted more things to happen. But other than that, it would have been a 5-star, no problem for me. This is actually a very short horror story. It's literally almost 250 pages. And this story follows Monica Stevens, who has never met her birth mother. She was actually adopted by her grandmother. So her grandmother is very big in the church community. She's a very good woman. She has good morals. She does meet Monica's mother. She takes her in, you know, treats her like her own daughter. And she winds up pregnant one day, and that's where Monica comes in. She's pregnant with this baby that she did not want, and then she ups and leaves and basically has taken in Monica as her own adoptive daughter. So all these years, Monica has wondered what happened to her parents. She's never met them. She's always had this desire to meet her biological parents. And so this church woman, who is very kind-hearted, who is very good to the community, ends up adopting Monica because her biological mother does not want her. So when her grandmother winds up dead in her own house at the bottom of the stairs, Monica is so devastated because this is the closest that she would have ever gotten to meeting her biological mother. It's weird because during her grandmother's funeral, Grace, her biological mother, pops up out of nowhere, introducing herself as her biological mother. So of course, Monica is ecstatic and she's excited and she's finally relieved that she has a mother, and she just has so many questions for her. So she takes her in with her beautiful family, and she decides to get to know her better, and things just unravel from there. Every day it seems like Monica is growing older as the days go by, and Grace is growing younger and younger every day, and it's so mysterious. This book is so freaking creepy. I don't even have any words to say. There were some really disturbing things that were really hard for me to read. Like, I was not expecting certain things. I was not expecting the turn that it took, even though it's obvious how this book turned out. To me, I was not expecting the descriptions of this book, of some of the scenes. I was like, what in the world am I reading? But again, that's horror for you. Like, it did everything it needed to do for me. It disgusted me. It had me cringing. It had me on my toes. I had a wonderful experience with this book also because I did read half of it by myself on my own, and I also read the Audible as I'm following along with the book, and that experience was so amazing for me, especially because the narrator, the way he narrated certain scenes, even though it was just one person narrating, there was no female or male characters, just one male character narrating the whole thing. It was just so good. This book was so good. 4.5 stars for me. I really enjoyed it. Definitely highly recommend. It is kind of the same as the movie Orphan, the same concept, just different aspects to it and things that I was not expecting to happen. I was very intrigued. I was a little disappointed though towards the end because again, it kind of just was wrapped up so quickly. I wanted more. I wanted more things to happen. I didn't want it to end so abruptly like it did, but the ending was good. It's just that I wanted more. That's it. And the last book I read, and I'm so happy I read this, is Sweat and Soap by Kinetsu Yamada. And I am so happy I read this book. I'm currently reading another book that I was planning on having in this wrap-up video. However, that did not happen because I just, for some reason, can't seem to finish that book. I can't seem to just finish it. It is taking me forever, and it's not even a long book. I just, for some reason, I don't care. Like, I don't care what's happening in the story. And it's a bummer because it is a romance and I just don't care for it. So I picked this up on a whim. I literally finished it in, I don't even say a full day, less than a day, honestly. And it was my first manga. I didn't even know I would be interested in mangas. I did not know this would be a thing for me. And let me just tell you, it is a thing for me because there's 9 volumes in this story, and I just bought volumes 2, 3, and 4. And I'm about to buy the rest because I love this. I love this couple so much. They are so cute. This was so fun to read. It was totally unexpected, a 5-star for me. Never knew I would even be reading a manga or give a manga a 5-star because this is totally not my element, like out of my element, out of my comfort zone. But man, did this deliver, you guys. This was so fun. I feel like every time I feel like I'm gonna go into a reading slump, I'm just gonna pick up a manga and I'm just gonna go. I'm just gonna fly with it. I'm just gonna go with it because it was that good. It was that entertaining. So the story follows these 2 main characters, and he is the CEO of a perfume and soap company, and she works in the finance department of that company. It's very cute because she's a very timid girl. You know, when she was younger, she was bullied a lot about the way that she smelled because she profusively, uncontrollably sweats all the time. So she finds herself using her company's toiletries to make sure that she is not smelling bad. She's very self-conscious about it. So one day they have a display, I believe their summer collection or their winter collection that's coming up, and she's just browsing around, excited and looking at all the brand new products. In comes him, who is captivated by the way that she smells and has no idea what is that scent. And it's their romance. He absolutely loves the way she smells. He's so captivated. It's almost like a drug to him. It almost would seem like it would be weird, but the way that he is just so obsessively into her because of the way that she smells and the fact that she is so self-conscious and not confident about her sweat and how she smells all the time is just so cute. He can't get enough of her scent, and she is always trying to hide it, and it's very cute because she will smell different in certain times. If she's happy, she smells different than when she's sad. If she's been crying, she smells different. If she's upset, she smells different. And he's just all about it. And I think it's so cute. You can tell right away like how captivated they are about each other, how much he adores her for the way she is, who she is, how sometimes she has these little moments where she is not confident with herself, and she's reminded of how she used to be bullied about the way that she would sweat and smell when she was younger. And here he is trying to uplift her, make her feel better, and telling her that she doesn't need to change for anybody because he likes her the way she is. It's just so adorable. I am looking forward to continuing this cute little romance. I did enjoy it. Again, like I bought like volumes 2, 3, and 4. They are coming today. I'm super excited. I'm gonna jump on these as soon as I get them. But yeah, I definitely recommend, like, if you're looking for a manga and you've never tried it and you just want to dip your feet in, this is a perfect one to do it. Although it is very unexpected to love something as weird as this romance, because yes, she sweats a lot profusely, she smells a certain way, but he can't get enough of that, and he just has to smell her all the time, and he's captivated and he indulges himself in her sweat. Oh man, like this was so cute. It was so cute. It made me so happy. I'm so glad I read this book. I'm so glad I read it. Okay guys, that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here with me and watching me rant about all the books that I enjoyed this month. I did have a few 5-star books. I'm happy I'm staying on top of my Goodreads goal. That's always a plus. So thank you again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.